Imagine witnessing a 15-year-old kid dominating the pitch in the world's most prestigious club football tournament. It sounds like the stuff of dreams, but in the UEFA Champions League, it's become reality for a select few prodigies, who shattered age barriers and rewrote records. These young stars not only debuted at shockingly tender ages, but some even lifted the coveted trophy, proving that age is just a number on football's grandest stage. But here's where it gets controversial. Is pushing kids into high-stakes matches a brilliant investment in future legends, or a risky gamble that could burn them out? Stick around, because we're diving deep into the youngest Champions League players and winners ever, with all the juicy details that might just change how you view youth in sport. Football, especially at the elite level like the UEFA Champions League, often simply called the Champions League, has always been a breeding ground for talent. This premier competition pits Europe's top clubs against each other in knockout rounds that culminate in a thrilling final, testing skills, strategy, and nerves. What makes it even more fascinating is how some players burst onto the scene as absolute youngsters, making their mark before they could even legally drive or vote in many countries. For beginners trying to follow along, think of it as the Super Bowl of soccer, but with global stakes and a history dating back to 1955. And the part most people miss. These early debuts aren't just about raw talent. They often highlight the intense training regimes and scouting systems that turn kids into stars. But should clubs be rushing them into the spotlight so soon? We'll touch on that debate as we explore the 6 youngest players to ever grace the tournament, starting with the record breaker. First up is Max Dowman, the Arsenal midfielder who, at just 15 years and 308 days old, became the youngest ever player in Champions League history. On the 4th of November 2025, he stepped onto the pitch for a league phase match against Slavia Praha, replacing Leandro Trossard in the dying minutes of a 3-0 Arsenal victory. Born in Chelmsford, England, Dowman had already made waves as the youngest scorer in the UEFA Youth League, and fans had dubbed him the next Kaka, due to his silky skills and vision on the ball. He'd warmed the bench twice before that breakthrough moment, showcasing Arsenal's faith in his potential. Just last week, he became the club's youngest ever starter in a domestic game, and now his European debut cements his status as a prodigy. For context, if you're new to this, the UEFA Youth League is like the Champions League for under-19 teams, where young players hone their craft against peers from top academies. It's a stepping stone that many, like Dowman, use to leap into the big leagues. Next, we have Youssoufa Moukoko, who edged out the previous record holder by coming on as a substitute for Borussia Dortmund against Zenit on the 8th of December 2020, at 16 years and 18 days old. This German striker, born just 3 days short of a decade after the then record holder, had an incredible journey. Prolific goal-scoring for St. Pauli at under-13 level by age 10, joining Dortmund in 2016, and playing for their U17s at 13, and U19s at 14. By early 2020, at barely 15, he was training with the first team. On his 16th birthday, the day before his Bundesliga debut as a sub against Hertha, he became the youngest player in Germany's top league, and just 18 days later, he made his Champions League bow after benching 2 earlier games. Moukoko's story illustrates the fast-track development in modern football, where youth systems like Dortmund's push players through age groups rapidly, a strategy that builds resilience, but raises questions about long-term sustainability. Is this the future of football, or are we sacrificing childhood for glory? Hot on his heels is Lamine Yamal, Barcelona's winger, who made his Champions League entrance at 16 years and 68 days, during a 5-0 drubbing of Antwerp on the 19th of September 2023. Already Barcelona's youngest La Liga player by then, Yamal scored on his senior Spain debut, just 11 days prior, in a 7-1 win over Georgia. He reflected on playing against bigger, stronger opponents from his youth days, saying his mother worried, but he urged her to trust him. That confidence paid off, as he became the youngest ever in the knockout stages, starting the round of 16 first leg against Napoli, at 16 years, and 223 days. Yamal's rapid rise shows how clubs like Barcelona invest heavily in their academies, blending Spanish flair with global talent. For newcomers, La Liga is Spain's top division, and debuting there before Europe adds layers of pressure. Yet, it's a testament to Yamal's maturity. But does it mean we're seeing kids mature too fast in a sport where mental health is increasingly scrutinized? Going back a bit, Celestine Babararo set the original benchmark as the Nigerian left-back who started for Anderlecht against Stoa in the 1994-95 group stage, aged 16 years and 86 days. Not only was he the youngest debutant at the time, but he also holds the dubious honor of being the first, and still one of the few, to get sent off in his maiden appearance, earning a red card, just 37 minutes in. Babararo later moved to Chelsea, where he helped win the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup and the FA Cup. This record from 1994 highlights how global scouting brings in talents from Africa and beyond, enriching the game. For those unfamiliar, the Cup Winners' Cup was a precursor to some Champions League elements, focusing on domestic cup winners. Babararo's story sparks debate. Was his early red card a sign of youthful impetuosity, or just bad luck that could deter other young players from taking risks? Then there's Rayan Cherki, the Lyon attacking midfielder, who came off the bench in the 74th minute of a 2-0 loss to Zenit on the 27th of November 2019, at 16 years and 102 days. He'd been an unused sub 3 weeks earlier, missing a chance to break Babararo's record then. Cherki had debuted in Ligue 1, France's top league, just a month prior, and before that, netted 4 goals in 3 UEFA Youth League matches, even scoring at age 15. His background showcases France's focus on technical midfielders, with players like him blending creativity and pace. It's a reminder that timing matters. Cherki's late entry means he's often overlooked, but his potential was evident. Controversially, some argue these bench roles help build patience, while others say it wastes formative years. What do you think? Should young talents demand more minutes, or is patience key? Finally, rounding out the debutants is Alen Halilovic, who appeared for Dinamo Zagreb against Paris Saint-Germain in a 0-2 loss on the 24th of October 2012, at 16 years and 128 days. Brought on in the last 5 minutes, the Croatian attacking midfielder, son of former Dinamo player Saad, was hailed as the next Luka Modric, Croatia's midfield maestro, who won the Ballon d'Or. Halilovic had already become the youngest scorer in Croatia's Pro Liga, but his senior career fizzled, with loan spells at clubs like Barcelona, Milan, Sporting Gijón, and others failing to ignite. This case study raises eyebrows. Billed as a superstar in the making, he never quite lived up to the hype. Is it because early exposure breeds complacency, or do external factors like injuries or poor management play a bigger role? It's a point worth pondering in football's hype machine. Shifting gears to the winners, we explore the youngest players to have tasted Champions League glory. The competition's pinnacle is the final, where lifting the trophy marks eternal fame. Notably, 3 of the youngest victors hail from Ajax's 1995 triumph over AC Milan in Vienna, an underdog upset that showcased Dutch football's flair. The youngest was substitute Nwankwo Kanu, followed by Patrick Kluivert, who scored the winner, and Clarence Seedorf. Fast forward 30 years, and Paris Saint-Germain's 2025 demolition of Inter, 5-0, added Seny Maulu and Warren Zaïre-Emery to the list, with Maulu netting shortly after coming on. Here's the part most people miss. These wins often come from squad depth and youth integration, but do they prove that experience trumps youth, or vice versa? Let's break them down. Nwankwo Kanu, 18 years 296 days, as Ajax's sub in the 1995 final, this Nigerian striker helped secure the 1-0 win, a moment that launched his storied career with Inter, Arsenal, and even a World Cup win.